Hey, Dan, what time is it?
Oh, yeah, I got you. Give me a second.
Yoo-hoo!
It's 10 a.m. on September 25th, 1890. The Trans-North American race, the Steel Ball Run, has finally begun!
Welcome to the true man's world.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty enthusiastic about Steel Ball Run, and I am certainly not in the minority when I say that. For many, including myself, Jojo Part 7 was the magnum opus, or the renaissance, for the entire series. What Part 3 Stardust Crusaders did for Jojo, Part 7 did as well. It revolutionized Araki's art style and storytelling up a notch, and I'm not just saying that. Look at the difference. And what lent a hand in this was the switch from Shonen Jump to Ultra Jump, which in return enabled Araki more spare time from his initial week to a month to work on each chapter. Okay, enough of my chit chatter, let's get started. Without further ado, why is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7 Steel Ball Run absolutely amazing? Primarily, one thing that is obvious is the new overall take. What do I mean? Well, Steel Ball Run is a complete reboot, and on first glance that may sound disappointing to some, including myself at first. It pays off tenfold. With a new clean slate, the story is able to craft any new ideas and is able to take risks without worrying keeping everything in canon with the rest of the series. In return, we get a unique setting, 1890s America, which wouldn't have been possible within parts 1 through 6's universe. And from there, so many doors open up. For Araki, this is great. One of the reasons I'm sure he opted for this change was for this reason alone. Writing 1 through 6's plot must have gone pretty stale for him over time. And you can definitely see this within part 6's enemy stands. The stand abilities here are practically at the limit or ceiling within how chaotic it can get. Bohemian Rhapsody, anyone? Either way, Araki definitely desired to go back to square one. Furthermore, while part 7 is truly unique, it isn't afraid at all to reuse ideas. Oftentimes, characters share name schemes with the previous universe. For example, there's a main Jojo, Johnny, obviously taking connection from Jonathan Joestar, and this is frankly a much better character. That's the case for most of these characters, except Abdul and Stryheim, oh god. But I think the best example has to be within Gyro Zeppeli, hands down the best character within Steel Ball Run. No, the best character within the entire series. Yes, I am going that far. He, in my opinion, immensely outshines his predecessors. Like, obviously, as you could probably tell, I've been keeping this pretty much spoiler free, but if I must say a few things about Gyro is that he's a very layered character, and to keep things simple, he's a far cry from Caesar and Antonio Zeppeli. While unlike Caesar, who is like this macho ladies man, Gyro doesn't really care about that stuff. He believes women are untrustworthy, and this is played up to, I guess, a comedical effect. But there's a bigger reason behind this that obviously gets elaborated as the story goes on. You know, there's a reason for everything he believes in, what he does, etc. Caesar, yeah, he's a macho ladies man, but we don't really get to know why or how he's able to turn it into that kind of character. In short, he's practically the ultimate bachelor. He's extremely goofy, but at the same time, he works as a teacher and a friend with Johnny, basically taking on both roles that each Zeppeli did within their respective parts. And if I had anything to say, a lot of these characters are extremely human, and I mean that in the most sincerest way possible. Just the dialogue itself proves this. It feels so natural. The conversations between Johnny and Gyro especially feel like a real life conversation you would probably have with a friend, but you know, with that JoJo twist added in the mix. Heck, Gyro even, there is a chapter dedicated to just Gyro coming up with a song tune and just singing it. Yeah, I know that sounds very strange, but overall it was just very enjoyable to read, especially those little moments that really add up to make Steel Ball Run really special. But yeah, enough talking about Gyro. I think I've said well more than enough. I'll probably make a video in the future about my further thoughts and opinions on him. Nevertheless, I kind of want to talk about the plot a little bit, or at the very least how it's structured. Part 7 basically is a road trip story in a nutshell. Everyone is in this massive continental race from San Diego, California to New York, and from there our main characters ensue on an epic journey. They travel to many unique locations of interest, meet new people, etc. And on paper, this sounds extremely similar to Part 3's style, as that was also a road trip adventure, but instead it was from Japan to Egypt. And from there, the similarities end. Steel Ball Run structures its story much better. The issue with Part 3 is that it follows a stand battle of the week formula, and after a while, that just gets kind of stale. And don't get me wrong, this certainly does occur within Part 7, but to a lesser extent, and when this does occur, it typically gets remedied. To alleviate these issues, Part 7 really likes to treat their minor antagonists very well. They often get backstories, they get more personality thrown into them, and I mean, in addition, obviously the stands are always interesting, but altogether that makes a really good outcome. And speaking of backstories, a lot of the main cast and other characters along the way have really interesting pasts. As I mentioned beforehand, Gyro's history is really great as well. But where I think this is really gonna shine is with Diego/Dio and Johnny's background compared to their Part 1 counterparts. I mean, there are improvements all around. There is a reason why Diego/Dio acts the way he does, and the explanation is much better than what they gave us in Phantom Blood. It's just much more layered. There is just depth to these pasts. Again, Johnny's backstory is so much better developed than Jonathan's. It's like a night and day difference. Like, it helps so much when reading because I guess back then, or pretty much a lot of other stories, when you think of a character, you define them within 1 to 2 words. Like, I guess Dio in Part 1, right? Evil, bad, etc. But I think in Part 7, Diego, yeah, he's definitely not a good guy, but at the same time, kind of look at him as more of a tragic figure. And when you are finding out all this information about pretty much any character throughout the story, you end up sympathizing with them, which in turn makes them feel real, feel human. And at this point, maybe some of you are like, okay, Dan, how about let's not talk about the characters anymore? You can be kind of going on a mad lad rambling about all this. But no, I emphasize this point because it's really important. If you don't have good characters in a story, it's gonna flop. Characters are the most important thing in storytelling. You can have the most fascinating plot, you can have the coolest art, you know, if it's like a manga or something or a show. If you have all that stuff, but your characters are garbage or uninteresting, then there's no point in watching or reading it. Nevertheless, at this point, if you're coming off Part 6 and you're hesitant to give Steel Ball Run a shot, don't be. While the idea of a reboot may sound scary at first, it won't be for long, and sooner or later, you're gonna come to appreciate the new Jojo universe. Part 7 is an absolutely amazing read, and for those who have experienced it, they know why. But anyway, yeah, what do you guys think at the end of the day? Do you believe that Steel Ball Run is the best part within the entire Jojo series? Do you guys like Gyro Zappelli as much as I do? If not, then who is your favorite character from Part 7? Please voice your opinions down below, and in the meanwhile, if you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button and like the video. Also, I have a Twitch that I stream pretty much 4 days out of the week on, and I have an art Instagram. Check that down below as well. Thank you guys so much for making it to the very end of the video. I 100% appreciate that, and have an absolutely wonderful day.